I can't exist anywhere without you. So I wanted to ask you to join me here. You'd have to leave your other world behind. Stop breathing in it like I did. Stay with me here. You'll have to do it yourself.
Welcome back to the Hiding for Horrors podcast, where we review horror movies and horror franchises. I'm Mark,
I'm Tawan.
I'm Maria.
and today we're reviewing Insidious Chapter 3, released in 2015, written and directed by Lee Winnell. Maria, can you start off by giving the people the plot summary?
When teenager Quinn Brunner senses that her late mother is trying to contact her, she seeks help from gifted psychic Elise Rayner. However, Elise's tragic past makes her reluctant to use her abilities. After a malevolent entity attacks Quinn, her father pleads with Elise for help. With support from two parapsychologists, Elise ventures deep into the further, where she finds a powerful demon with an insatiable craving for human souls.
So to start off, I want to say when I was telling you guys that we were gonna do the Insidious movie, both of you gave me like differing opinions or grunts when the third one came up. So I kind of went into this like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna like it. Ooh, it's gonna be mixed. I don't know what to do." But I like this one. I like this one more than the previous two. Like, yeah, there was some stuff that was happening that I didn't that was like unnecessary, but this was a good movie overall. Like, because everyone felt a part of it. Like, even the little brother felt like he had something to do. Unlike the siblings from the first two movie, like only person that mattered was Dalton, and then Foster and that little girl was just. Well, the little girl mattered more because they kept putting her on the floor, which I found very disrespectful. But Foster was just there. At least this kid had some shit to go to do, and then the mom, like the story just felt more well rounded, and I enjoyed it more. And I don't really like Lee Winnell as a director, but this was actually pretty good. What about you, Maria? What are your thoughts on this movie?
Well, I mean, I love this movie. I think out of like the other movies, this one's my favorite. I mean, I've watched this movie a lot. I have other movies on DVD, but this is the one that I always go back to. I think it's so good. It was like I think when I first saw it, it genuinely scared me, and now it kind of just I like to watch it for the plot because I feel like it's really good. Um, I don't know. I just it's one of my favorite movies.
What about you, Tuan?
I went after watching this one again. I do actually like this one. For the longest, I remember not liking the third one. Um, like years ago, and definitely went into remembering not liking it. And I don't remember why I didn't like it back then. But whatever I was thinking then, like it don't even matter now because like after rewatching, I actually really did like this one as well. Um, liked it more than the second one, and I still think the first one is my personal favorite. But overall, this one was really good. James Wan wasn't the director this time, and I mean, you could tell in some of the stuff. Like, I feel like James Wan has just a certain little style, but Lee Winnell like did good here with what he was given, especially considering where the story went. With
He was also looking really good in this movie too. Like he was kind of cute. I was like, okay, Lee Winnell with his little glasses on. Never
I'm
mind.
dead. Nah, but he did pretty good with this one, considering uh, what we were given with the lease already being dead, where we could have went after this, and you can't go forward, so they got to go back.
And I feel like that's one of the issues I have with this movie because it feels like Lee Winnell realized like, oh shit, Elise is like is like the breakout character of the franchise, and I fucking killed her off in the first movie. Like how and I think he was just trying to like find ways to keep her in the franchise, and the only way to do that was to do a fucking prequel. Because I was just like, you can't keep. I don't want to see her ghost hanging out with Tucker and Specs. Like no, like you killed her off, and I feel like he wrote himself in a corner by killing her off, and then had to like backtrack somehow, and then this is what he decided to do, and I liked it. But let's talk about some scenes. What are some scenes that stood out for you guys? I will say that that's that first scene when she got hit by that car. I was not expecting that. It came out of nowhere. I would have to say I jumped the hell out of my seat when I was watching it because I was not ready.
I cannot take that
Like,
scene
damn.
serious because it
Why?
got turned into a meme at one point, and I'm not sure like why. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because
Like,
of the
yeah,
way?
just because I guess because the way it happened and how like sudden it was.
Hmm.
Like it was like
I
it
didn't
was
even.
like it was like a reaction like video people would post on Twitter, and it was definitely funny at the time. And it like whenever I see that like in the movie, I
See,
laugh uncontrollably.
what about you, Maria? Was that a jump scare for you? Because it definitely took me out when she got hit by that car.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like it's surprising. I mean, I don't know what meme you're talking about, Tuan, but like it's definitely like when I first saw it, I was not expecting it. Like honestly, the thing just waving was creepy enough because it just looked weird. Like it looked
Mm-hmm.
so unnatural. But then but then like she gets hit by a car and you see her get hit by the car. And it's just so like unexpected because you just think she's gonna turn around and it's gonna be another jump scare or something. But no, she gets hit by a fucking car.
That was insane. My other favorite like standout scene has to be standout scene, but not in a good way, is when the mom showed up. I did not like that. It felt it felt too cliche, and it felt like too much. Like I knew like I saw it coming a mile away. Like at the very beginning of the movie when she was like when she got taken and had to go fight her, I was like, the mom is gonna show up to save the day at the end. And that's exactly what happened. And that whole like couple minutes with the mom was just like ugh. And of course I loved every scene with Tucker and Specs. They were funny. Tucker with that fucking mohawk took me out. I was like, what the hell is this? This is not okay. And some scenes that because this happened in like the other movies where they introduce characters and then they like drop characters because what the fuck was the point of that cute boy next door and her friend if they weren't going to be part of the fucking climax of the movie or really any part of the movie? It's like when she got hit by the car, the cute boy and the friend disappeared from the movie. Was I the only one confused by that? I was like, what happened to them?
I don't I don't know if I feel like I just didn't think about that to be honest. Now I do. Now that you like mention it though, like maybe they could have visited her. Like she was fucked up. Like it is now that you mention it, it's kind of weird that like her friends didn't like come over or like visit her. Besides, I think she had like a video call at one point with the one like girlfriend she had, right? And that was I think like brought it was like a scene where I think she said like something was like behind her or something like that. But besides that, yeah, they really didn't bring up any of the other like friends or anything. But they weren't like needed. But it is like now that you mentioned it's something like kind of weird. Your friend was like badly injured and you didn't visit them.
I mean, I think they were kind of just there just to like so they can use them for scares because that's kind of what they did. I think with the cute boy, like like when her leg was broken, and there was that one scene where like she can hear him like on the other
Oh
side, and I
yeah,
think at one point he knocked, and she was like, "Oh, like did I wake you up or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh no, my grandma's," and she was like, "Wait a minute." And I mean, I thought it was a good scene, but I can see why it's like, I guess there was no reason to have them show up in the movie so
mm,
much. Because then there was also the one scene with a friend where they're video chatting, and she's like, "Oh, who's that? Like, is that your brother next to you?"
yeah.
And she's like, "What are you talking?" Like that scene was, I thought that scene was also pretty scary or pretty creepy. But I mean, I guess maybe, yeah. I guess it didn't matter that they showed us the friend and introduced her to us, if they were just gonna kind of use her as like a for for scares, I guess.
Well, Maria, what other scenes stood out for you? Good, bad, or indifferent?
I mean, yeah, the car scene was definitely one of my favorite scenes. Just the way like he's just waving, it's so creepy. Um, the scene, um, oh my God, like the scene where like Elise is there, and they're all trying to kind of like figure out what's going on, and then like because she has like a cast on her leg, and she starts hitting that, like breaking the cast off. That scene was crazy. I was like, "There's no way." It looked really weird. Um, I think also like the scene where, um, oh man, I literally just had it. Oh, I guess like the scene where they're trying to get to her. Like I guess like kind of like the last scene, and like her face is just like disappearing, and she just looks weird. That scene was super weird. I thought it was really creepy too. I also thought the villain in this movie was looked really weird, like looked really scary. Like I don't know, to me he looks genuinely scary. Um, than like the demon, to be honest, because it's like I know he's a human, and I also know that he's like awful. So I'm not expecting like a demon that looks like horns. He's literally just a ghost that isn't letting people go because he was so miserable. And like as Elise is walking through the further, she sees the people that have died there, and she sees like all like the souls that he's kept there, and it's just so weird. I don't know. I like this a lot better than the other movies. I think those scenes were just played out very well because they were just really creepy. Um, and yeah, and honestly, any scene with like Tucker and Specs because they're so funny, and it's honestly I like the fact that we got to see how they got together. Um, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I was happy with the story with the like I'm glad it wasn't some big like dramatic backstory like it was with the woman in black, and that scene when Elise was talking to the other victim was actually like was really good, and she was like walking her around and helping her out. That was like that was pretty dope, and like watching her meet Tucker and Specs for the first time and like seeing how that started, I was like, oh, this is pretty good, and I don't know, the family just seemed more realistic in the scenes for me. I don't know why. It just felt more realistic, and like that first scene when what's the girl's name again? Quinn, when she shows up to Elise's house. Like that was kind of a sad scene. She just wanted to talk to her mom, and I was like, oh. And Elise, she was trying to help, but then she got choked out and she couldn't. So I was like, this is a decent start. But what about you, Tuan? What scene stood out for you?
Definitely that scene that Maria mentioned when Quinn was being possessed and she started kicking like the side. I think it was the side of the bed to take off her to like remove the cast that she had on. That was crazy, and like you hear the bones and stuff like splintering and all that. Like that was like just crazy to like the sound design on that was like hate that. But so I thought that was a good scene. Um, Also, when the spirit like just has Quinn, I think like on like a leash almost, and like her face is just just blank and it's like nothing on it. That was also a pretty decent one for me. And besides that, I think the scenes that I don't like, and I feel like I don't like them because it just comes off like corny. Like it makes sense in like the scenario of like the movie and everything, but it just comes off corny to me. It's like how you said like Elise can just defeat these demons because she's still alive, but then further, and it's just as simple as like pushing back or kicking the floor down or like you're stomping on the floor. Like I don't know, it just like it seems like really simple to me, and I'm not sure like why I dislike it. I'm not sure, but it just kind of comes off a little bit corny, I guess.
I actually agree with that. I think even in the other movies too, when she like defeats the beings from the
Hmm.
further, like it always. I mean, I guess that's why I don't really mind it in this movie because they do the same thing in the other
Yeah,
movies, and it always looks super corny. Like I think when we first saw Elise, I think push or I don't know what she did. Me and my siblings just laughed, and we just could not help like but bring it up and be like, remember when she because it was funny. It was kind of like a funny scene. Well, those scenes in general are just really funny.
yeah.
Well, just like the last movie, the last two movies, there weren't any kills in this movie. The only real death that we got was that old lady who lived in the building, which I thought was gonna like she did give them a warning from the other side, right? But other than that, like she didn't really play a big part like I thought she was going to play. Like I was expecting to see her in the further, and I was kind of disappointed when we didn't because I'm like, we had these scenes showing her talking to them, and then we see the scenes with her husband. So I expected her to play some role in like the climax, which is again what's making me mad because like he introduces these characters and they don't play any part in the overarching story pretty much. Like what's the point of them? But like we did with the last two movies, were there any jump scares or like scare moments that stood out to you guys? Tuan?
Um, wouldn't say it was a jump scare, but like definitely when my eyes caught this scene, I was like, oh shit. At the end when Lise was in her room and the dog was just barking into the void, and I'm like, what is this like I just thought it was the dog just barking into the void. Then I saw the little face in the background. I was like, oh shit. Of like the demon from the first movie.
I didn't like that. Cause what was the point of that?
Well, not the when the red faced demon popped out. That I didn't care for. Like it was when the dog was barking, it was a little white face in the closet.
Oh yeah, that I saw. That was
Yes,
creepy.
that creeped me out. I was like, "Oh shit!" But yeah, when the actual like red faced demon like popped out, that was lame. We didn't need that. Besides that,
But that's not even a demon that killed her. Like, what the fuck was the
yeah.
point of that?
Besides that, maybe another scene that like also wasn't like that big of a jump, but it was just like, oh shit, was when Quinn like when they were holding her down and she had that eyeball down her throat. That was crazy.
Maria, what about you? What are some jump scares or scare scenes that stood out to you?
Well, the eyeball one was freaky. I don't know. I really like the way the movie was set up, and you just don't realize or see like a lot of things that happen. Like you're not really expecting them. I think like the scene where like the ghost guy or whatever is like taking off his mask, and then you just see it come off, and you're just like, oh my god, like that looks disgusting. It just looked awful. Um, but it just made it so much creepier because with what Tawan said, like with the red faced demon, like I don't know, I expected more out of a demon, I guess. But like this guy, he's supposed to be somebody who died in the building, and like for him to look like that and to act like that, it's just so I feel like it's so much more like creepy, I guess. Um, Also, honestly, like the scene, and I've mentioned this already, but like the scene, like that car scene was great. Like even like the scene where like right before that when he's just waving, it's just so creepy because he doesn't look like a person. It does not look like a person waving. It looks like a literal like demon thing or whatever, just like waving at you, and it looks so creepy. Like I know she like got taken aback and she was like, "What is that?" But like I would too, like especially the way it was just so like mechanical, I guess. It was so I don't know, it was weird.
Well, let's move on to the characters. We're gonna start once again with Tucker and Specs.
So, do you guys do this kind of thing often? It's ghost hunting all the time.
Yeah, it's actually all we do. We literally don't do anything else. Just this.
Maria, what are your thoughts on Tucker and Specs this third time around?
I mean, I feel like their characters have stayed pretty consistent throughout the series, which is nice because I feel like since the first movie they've been very likable. You know, like they're funny together. I mean, even though they bicker a lot, they tend to like um they still work very well together. Um but like the bickering and like the snide comments are just kind of makes the movie so funny. Because I think what you mentioned earlier, Mark, was like how the family just feels more realistic. And I think that's why Specs and Tucker are very popular is because they do kind of feel very like realistic, you know? Like they do feel like they're just some guys doing some paranormal things, but when things actually go down, they're like, wait, like I was, you know, like they're genuinely afraid, which I feel like anybody would be. Um, and they're funny. I don't know. I really like them. I really liked their whole like duo thing going on. I see how Elise fit into their whole thing, but it like it fit. And honestly, I think they're like a good core of the movies of the franchise. You know.
Yeah, I get that. They provide something. Like I don't know, just seeing it once they like appear on screen, it's like okay, I'm gonna enjoy this. Like no matter what's happening around in a movie, when you see Tucker and Specs, it kind of just like brings it all back in a way, and it definitely helps that the family this time feels more grounded. But Tawan, what are your thoughts on Sean, the dad?
I thought, well, I thought Sean was like better that than fucking. Why am I forgetting his name? Yes,
Josh?
Josh. I thought he was a better dad than Josh was. Like, obviously, they were already going through it as a family due to the passing of the mom, and just him being the single parent at that time. But once stuff started going down, it took him a while, but he eventually tried to reach out for help by calling like Specs and Tucker. Like obviously he didn't know what they didn't know what they were doing at the time, but he was just trying to like get some answers from it because he saw like what was actually going on, and him and his daughter had like those like bickering moments. It wasn't like it wasn't like from a place of malice or like not caring. He just felt like overloaded and was the only one to really do stuff for Quinn and the brother. Plus Dermot Maroney, I love him.
Like so attractive. He's still attractive because him and Scream 6 with the gray. Like, okay, daddy,
Real.
give it to him. But Maria, what are your thoughts on my little brother Alex? I feel like he had more of a presence than Foster did. And like I kind of wanted him to stick around for like that final fight, but I also get how he wasn't there. But it also made me mad because like the mom was there in spirit, but the little brother is missing out on her being there. It's pissing me off. But what are your thoughts on Alex, Maria?
I mean, I agree. Like it was nice to see him there, and it was nice that like, yeah, I mean, he's basically the one who brought in Specs and Tucker, you know, because he was watching their YouTube videos, and yeah, like I feel like, and I know we had talked about this the last episode where like compared to Renee and Josh, and honestly the family in general. Like this family has a lot stronger. They have a lot stronger like personalities and a stronger presence. You know, like they're not bland. Um, what's her name? The daughter and Alex, like they kind of like they bicker the way siblings do, and they play around the way siblings do, and like it seems more realistic. It makes more sense, you know. Um, and like the dad fights with them the way a dad would, and it's like I don't know. It all just very much goes together, I guess. And I mean, I definitely see why he's in the movie. Like, if he was gone, I feel like something would definitely be missing, you know? But, yeah, I mean, I liked his character. I liked that he played, the little brother, and you can see him as a little brother. I do understand what you mean by, like, wanting him to be there during the final fight. But to be honest, I don't really see what else he can do in the final fight besides, probably being in the way. Um, but yeah, I mean, I liked his character.
Tuan, what are your thoughts on Elise this time around?
Oh yeah, I definitely like the Lisa in this one. Um, she wasn't, much different than what we got in the the going into the first movie, since this one is right before. Like you could definitely see how hesitant she was to help out Quinn. Just due to she saw she felt like something else besides her mom was there, as she mentioned. And just like in it wasn't the first one. I think I'm mixing things up, but just she was hesitant. I'm mixing things up, but she was hesitant, like to kind of help her out a bit. She was kind of a recluse at that time anyway, just due to her husband passing and things like that. So it was pretty fair for the state that she was in, that she wasn't trying to do what I guess she was pretty meant to do, like it for her character. So it makes sense for that state of mind. But at least you over time we've seen that she's very caring, and she just wanted to help this girl out. And really like that about her character. Like she definitely gives off those motherly vibes, and I hate putting that on some women, because but they do that for her character. And she just feels that need to help when she knows that her help is needed in these type of situations, since she's the best of her kind for this. So it definitely paid off of this one, and she was really good. And it also just gives a little bit more to the previous movies, that the woman in black was still trying to find her. Like she has smoke for Elise every time, when she came into the further or even thought about it. So it's cool that they kept that in, because I'm not gonna with that in it definitely makes sense. And I feel like without that part, they wouldn't have felt as connected to the other movies, because we know from those that the woman in black was always there waiting for her.
Yeah, for me, that got old pretty fast. Like, yeah, I know this is a prequel and you want to do some foreshadowing, but like the constant getting choked up by the woman in black was just it was too much. Like after the first time, I'm like, okay, now y'all took a shot kill at the end of the first movie, and now y'all just killing it. No pun intended. Like I was over it. What about you, Maria? What were your thoughts on Elise this go around?
Um, I mean, I kind of liked that she wasn't I guess, so overpowered in this movies. I feel like in the first and the second movie, she came in and she she was this all-knowing person who already knew what to do and how to help out the family. And I feel like this time around, I guess it was nice to see her so vulnerable and to see her so um, her trying to figure things out her way. Um, I feel like that was really nice to see, though. Um, I do agree the whole foreshadowing for the woman in black was kind of I mean, when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, that's fun." And then I guess I was like, "Oh, I mean, I don't think it really like mattered afterwards." Honestly, I think it would have made more sense if it was like the Red Demon, to be honest, instead of the Woman in Black. Um, but I mean, I'm not a director. What do I know? But like I liked her. I liked that she was more vulnerable here, and she, was dealing with her own loss, just the way the family was. And I think it was really nice to see them kind of relate to each other, and nice to see Elise herself grow in the movie, rather than coming in and already being like a very dominating figure. Um, which is why I really like the movie because everything feels so organic. Um, you don't like she doesn't just come in all knowing, ready to fight, ready like not afraid. Like you see her being so afraid in the beginning, and you see her change to like the woman that she was in the first movie, um, which was nice.
Well, what are your opinions on Quinn?
Honestly, I think out of all of them, she might be my least favorite character, but I also liked her as like the main character. I guess compared to like the other families, I think Quinn had like she was just her daughter who missed her mom and she just wanted to see her mom. And I think it was really interesting to see this demon like taking advantage of that. And of course she's gonna fall for it. She's a teenage girl. I don't know, I think she did a really good job. I think she didn't like overdo her acting, and I don't think she like um I don't think she was like a dumb character in any way. I think things were happening to her and she was reacting the way she should be reacting. Um, because it makes sense that she was trying to reach out to the other side. She just wanted to see her mom. And then, having to deal with, she wants to go to New York and but then, her dad wants her to stay home and help with, with her brother and um but at the same time, she's being haunted. It's just like I liked the way the actress portrayed that. Um, I feel like her reactions made a lot of sense to me. Um, there were some corny parts, but I feel like the franchise in general has some corny parts. It's just kind of written in there. Um, I mean, I also don't think her presence was as strong as the other characters. Um, but I think I think she did well. Um, yeah, because I feel like the dad. I don't know what the actor's name is, but I feel like that actor does like a really good job of kind of playing off the people around him. And I think that's what Quinn's actress was kind of doing, kind of playing off his lead. But like he did so well that she did really well. Um, so I think it worked. I mean, but I liked her. I like that I liked Quinn in general though. I feel like she was a very like relatable character.
As the story progressed, I feel like Quinn got lost, and yeah, yeah, she definitely got lost. Like once Elise was there and Tucker and Specs was there, as we saw more of the dad, I just feel like Quinn got lost in the story that started with her. So I had no connection with her. What about you, Tuan?
Yeah, I kind of do agree with that now that I'm like, thinking back, because definitely, in the beginning and like I would say before and right after she got injured, we definitely were like in Quinn's like state of mind and like we were with Quinn, but definitely a little bit after the accident, when things started ramping up and then, like you said, Tucker Specs were called in, then Elise was brought in, and then the dad was involved a lot more. It definitely did stray a good amount away from Quinn. Like it was still focused on Quinn's character, but we were following the others trying to get her out of that state. But I'm also thinking as well, same thing could be said about the first movie. with like Dalton. Like even though Dalton wasn't like our main character, we were following kind of the family as a whole, and more so Renee and Josh. Um, Dalton was kind of out for like the whole movie while he was in his like state. So I wouldn't put it as much against him, but Quinn was more like involved in the plot than like Dalton was in the first one. But I still did like her character. Like the actress that played her did like pretty good here, and when she was like given something to do, like it was like I don't think I had anything bad to say about her.
Well, what are your thoughts on the man that couldn't breathe?
I do like um this villain more than like the red face demon from the first one, just because unlike the the red face demon and also like the woman in black, they weren't trying to like while they were trying to still live or get in the body or possess someone, this this villain was just bad. Like he just wanted to kill people or like take them over and like use them for his own like will, and in the further, not even like and like trying to take them like for real life or use their bodies for like any real purposes. So he was just like kind of more straight up evil in a sense than the other two because make it would rather capture and keep someone hostage than to just possess the body and take them over.
Marie, what about you? What are your thoughts on the man who can't breathe?
I mean, I liked the idea of his character, and I thought the design was done really well. I feel like I don't know, man. He was creepy. Like he was a creepy man. Um, and I guess it would have been nice to know a little bit more, but I also don't feel like I was missing anything. I kind of feel like he creeped me out enough that like I was content with what I saw. Um, I think that he, I don't know, I guess like the whole point of the movie was that he was like miserable, and he just wanted to have people around him to stay miserable with him, and he kind of caused, people to die or people to commit suicide or like all these things, and I don't know, I thought it was a very interesting concept compared to like the other movies, whereas like the dad and the son can astro project and like they just get caught by beings on the other side. Um, which I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an interesting idea, but I don't know. There's just like I guess it kind of just went with the whole feel of the movie where things aren't that complicated and they're not that like um not that special, I guess is the best way I can say it. It's just some evil ghost that was miserable in life, so he was miserable in death, and he just wanted people to stay with him. Um, and Quinn, who missed her mom, got caught in it, but no, he was creepy. Like when he took off his breathing mask, I was done because you can see first of all, you see how his mouth just looks awful, and then you see like the slime coming off of like his face and the mask as he's taking it off. It was disgusting, but it was great. Um, so I mean, I know we don't really know a lot about this character compared to like the villains from the other movies, but like I thought it was good. Um, I thought he was a good antagonist.
But piggybacking off what you said, how we don't know a lot about him, like we did the other villains, I feel like that's what makes him work because there isn't some like big dramatic overarching like backstory. It's literally just he was a tortured human, now he's dead and he wants people to suffer just like he did. Like plain simple, cut and dry, no need for this Shakespearean plot. Like he just wants people to suffer the same way he did. And I feel like that's what makes him work. And that kind of what makes this movie work. But before we get to our reviews. Tuan, can you give the people the behind the scenes info and
I can.
facts?
So the budget for Insidious Chapter 3 was 11 million and it made a box office of 113 million, about 48 million less than the previous entry. The film marked Lee Winnell's directorial debut, and director, and actor Lee Winnell told casting that he wanted the man who can't breathe to look like the sloth victim from the movie Seven, released in 1995. The same actor, Michael Reed McKay, was cast for the role. Lee Winnell's first project, where he receives the triplicate credits of directing, writing, and acting his own film. Amongst his works, where he also acted, are Saw, released in 2004, in addition to writing the screenplay and having collaborated with James Wan. Elise has a dog called Warren. It's based on the real life paranormal investigators Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren, which appears in James Wan's film The Conjuring, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. YouTube personality Joey Graceffa filmed a role for the film of a psychotic Vietnam veteran, which was left on the cutting room floor. I did not know that.
Do you remember when Joey Graceffa was like a thing?
Yes.
Talk about dating a movie fast.
It was even prior to this movie. It gets crazy. Critics' reactions. The film currently sits at a 58% on Rotten Tomatoes. IGN scored the film a 7.1 out of 10, saying Insidious Chapter 3 is the most focused, dark, and creepy installment of the series to date. Variety gave the film a negative review, saying that chief among things that go bump in the night in Insidious Chapter 3 is the movie itself, a thuddingly dull prequel to James Wan's very enjoyable and highly profitable demonic possession horror franchise. The Washington Post gave the film 1.5 stars out of 4, saying the Insidious franchise, after 3 attempts to exorcise its real demons, still can't seem to shake what really haunts it, the ghost of B movies past. And lastly, Real Reviews gave the film 2.5 out of 4 stars, saying the third time's the charm. Not with the Insidious series, it isn't. Admittedly, installment number 3 is an improvement over number 2, but it fails to reach the heights of the chilling but uneven original.
Well, those people were insane, but what about us? Do we cash or pass Insidious Chapter 3? For me, it's a cash. I feel like of the three that I've seen so far, this was the best one for me. This is above the other two. And I feel like it's mostly because the family feels authentic and grounded. The story feels grounded. Yes, there's all this supernatural crap going on, but it just feels more authentic in a way. And for me, it's a cash 100%. But what about you, Maria? Did you cash or pass Insidious Chapter 3?
I mean, I cash. I already have the movie. I've seen this movie a lot. Like I've seen like a lot. I didn't even watch it for this because I've seen it a lot. There's it's a lot of scenes that I really really like to watch from this movie. And yeah, and I feel like this movie is just so like it's not complicated, but it has good scenes where I don't know where I feel like they're scary, and I also feel like if you pay like close attention, um, like it's a nice movie to have in the background because it's not overly complicated. But if you do decide to sit and actually like watch it, you'll notice little like things here and there where you're like, I didn't notice that last time, and it's so nice. So I definitely cash.
Tawan, what about you? Do you cash or pass Insidious Chapter 3?
Yes, I would also give a cash to Insidious Chapter 3. I did like the rewatch I had of this movie, and definitely liked it more than when I originally watched it. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure why I remember not liking this movie, but definitely watching it now, I like this one a lot.
And with that, we have come to the end of this week's review. Join us next week as a review Insidious Chapter 4. Actually, it's not Chapter 4, it's Insidious The Last Key. We have a new director, same old writer. Let's see how this is going to be. I'm kind of excited. Because for me, watching all these movies for the review is the first time I'm seeing these movies. So I've been enjoying it so far, and after next week we're going to be up to date and we're just going to be waiting for the new one to drop, which is insane because this went by really fast, but it's only 4 movies. So join us next week for The Last Key. Good night. If you like this episode, please be sure to check out Haddonfield Horror's past reviews from big franchises like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and the Chucky franchise, or one off reviews like Us and Midsommar. You can follow Haddonfield Horrors on Instagram and TikTok, where the host posts updates and mini reviews. Full episodes are available on several podcasting platforms. If you're listening to us on YouTube, don't forget to please like and subscribe. Haddonfield Horror is produced by Mark Smart, Maria Perez, and Tuan Griffin. Edited by Mark Smart. Theme by Lethal Injections. The Haddonfield Horrors podcast is a Letters to Media production.
Should we do an intro?